I'm a psychic who live streams. And a debunker vlogger has me in his sights. He says I'm a fraud who scams people with superstitious nonsense. To expose me, he plans to livestream my attempt to recover a body from the water. He even ruined my ritual. A water wraith, her child unborn, her rage will curse the sky, and all living things will die. He has no idea what kind of trouble he's just stumbled into. This whole psychic thing is just cold reading. You've heard of Sherlock Holmes, right? If he decided to become a psychic, he'd be the godfather of your whole industry. See someone smiling? Tell them good things are coming. See them moping? Tell them they're facing a crisis. I think I could do your job, streamer. What do you say? The man in the video had handsome features, but there was a darkness swirling around his brow. He was spitting fire at the camera, trying to corner me, to force me to admit I was just a common con artist. My name is Luna Reed. I'm an online influencer, and I'm also a Taoist priestess. Once a week, in my free time, I livestream psychic readings. The person on the split screen with me today was a very famous debunker vlogger, Leo. Leo had way more followers than I did. He'd exposed a whole range of shady tech products, uncovered countless scams by dishonest businesses, and even saved someone from a massive phishing scheme. Many of his followers thought he was a modern-day hero, a champion for the people. And his latest target was me. You say you can read fortunes and faces, right, streamer? Go on then, read mine. I frowned. Do you want the truth, or do you want me to lie? Leo smirked. I'm a debunker. I hate phonies. What do you think? Fine. He asked for it. I nodded and didn't hold back. Clout chasing, greedy, ruthless, and a total sleazeball. The moment I said it, the chat exploded. Leo's fans were furious. Even the casual viewers thought I'd gone too far. I see Master Luna's true colors now. The second someone calls her a fraud, she just lashes out. Not a fan of either, but I'm with Leo on this one. What Luna said was just nasty. A psychic master? That's hilarious. Everyone knows Leo is the man every woman wants to marry. He picks up his daughter from kindergarten every single day and cooks all the meals at home. He's the poster child for a great husband and father, okay. Unlike his outraged followers, Leo just shrugged nonchalantly. Everyone calm down. I've dealt with worse when I'm exposing people. Some of the people I've debunked have tried to beat me up, smashed my car, and even attacked me with a knife. All Master Luna did was curse me out. Compared to them, she's actually pretty civilized. With just a few casual words, he cemented my identity as a scammer. His followers flooded the comments with words of comfort for Leo, and the tide of public opinion turned completely against me. The internet is a place of smoke and mirrors. What you think is real is often fake, and the person you think is a fraud might just be the real deal. I didn't let the comments get to me. My viewers were miles away. It's hard for them to judge who's right and who's wrong based on a single video. Alright, stop yelling at her. Nobody's perfect, right? Since Master Luna claims to be from a legitimate Taoist tradition, she can't be wrong all the time. So you messed up my reading. How about you try my friend? As Leo spoke, another man appeared in his camera frame. He had a chubby face and looked like a smiling Buddha. Why don't you tell us when he can have a second kid, Master Luna? This guy seemed pretty famous too, but I rarely go online, so I don't recognize many influencers. The only reason I knew who Leo was is because I was at the corner store a few days ago, and the owner was spanking his son for eating stinky tofu. He said Leo had just exposed that brand of stinky tofu as being full of chemicals and garbage. The owner got so worked up that he shoved his phone in my hand and asked me to judge whether his son deserved the spanking or not. Master Luna, what are you staring at? Cat got your tongue. The chat was quiet. For some reason, no one was typing. I stared intently at the chubby man for a long moment. A second kid? There's a prominent vein and a horizontal line running through his progeny palace. That's the face of a man fated to be childless. He doesn't even have a first child, so how could he have a second? Who the hell do you think you're talking to? The chubby man exploded, his face turning beet red with anger. The comments section, which had been silent, instantly blew up again, with messages scrolling by at lightning speed. LMAO, she doesn't even know who Tubby Todd is and says he's fated to be childless. This is killing me. For your information, streamer, Todd is a super famous lifestyle vlogger. His son is 7 years old and is absolutely gorgeous, looks like a movie star. Well, this was a bit awkward. Leo was laughing so hard he was crying. He wiped a tear from the corner of his eye. Master Luna, you've gotten 2 wrong in a row. I think you should just end the stream. I wasn't angry. Instead, I nodded agreeably. You're right, I am ending it. I have something to take care of tomorrow, so I won't be able to do any readings. My regular followers immediately started asking questions in the chat. Streamer, are you going to the reservoir in Stone Ridge? Right. I remember that. A follower said there was a woman's body floating in their village reservoir. A recovery team went in, but 2 of them died, and they still couldn't get her out. I heard about that too. It's super creepy. And the woman was pregnant, like 7 or 8 months along. Master Luna, are you going to recover the body? Oh my god, you're so brave. I took a sip of tea and answered them seriously. I'm not going to recover her body. I'm going to deliver her baby. There was a moment of silence in the stream. Then the chat feed flew by, a blur of text. Leo choked on his own spit. Cough, cough, deliver? Deliver whose baby? The corpse's? I've heard people brag, but I've never heard anyone brag like this. I can tolerate you saying you can read fortunes, but saying you're going to deliver a dead woman's baby? I just can't. Leo was getting angry now. He slammed his hand on the table and stood up, leaning toward the camera with his hands on the desk. Fine. You go deliver the baby. I'd love to see just how you deliver a baby for a dead person. I stared at him, stunned. What do you mean? You're going too. Leo crossed his arms, looking down at the camera condescendingly. Not only am I going, but I'm also going to expose you for the fraud you are in front of 1 million viewers. This is insane. Now I was getting angry. I didn't care if this debunker wanted to curse me out online. I don't pay much attention to comments. Those who believe will believe. Those who don't will come around when their time comes. As my friend Chloe would say, life is a cycle. First you judge the older generation, then you understand them, then you become them. When you're young, you're so sure you're right about everything, and you look at the world with a critical eye. But as you get older and experience more, you develop a sense of reverence. Stone Ridge, right? Luna Reed, I'll see you tomorrow night by the reservoir. Don't be late. Leo, you can't go. Leo. I shouted a few more times, but he had already disconnected the video call. I hastily ended my stream and tried to contact him, but after a few terse messages, he blocked me. Thinking about the eerie female corpse in the reservoir, my heart sank. The body had been floating in the reservoir for nearly a month. It was invisible during the day and would only surface at night. The villagers had hired several body recovery teams, but many of them took one look at the woman's pregnant belly and refused the job. A pregnant water corpse, that's a water wraith. I can't take this money. You'd better find someone else. After being turned down repeatedly, the village got desperate and offered a $200,000 reward. Money talks. One recovery specialist, who was poor and in desperate need of cash, gritted his teeth and went into the water with his partner. That night, both of them died in the reservoir. Their bodies were recovered the next day, but the woman's corpse continued to float on the surface every night, a terrifying sight. I'd asked my friend Alex, a police officer, about it. The woman was likely from out of town, nameless, with no information to trace. It was no surprise they couldn't retrieve her. A pregnant water corpse is filled with yuanqi, a potent mix of resentment and baleful energy. To recover the body safely, you first have to let her give birth to the child in her womb. The next afternoon, Chloe and I drove toward Stone Ridge. You don't think that idiot Leo is actually going to come and stream, do you? If you ask me, you're being too polite. If he shows up, just slap him across the face. He's so spoiled. Chloe was still fuming about having been in the bathroom during yesterday's stream, and vowed that if she saw Leo today, she would give him a piece of her mind. He probably won't come. Recovering a body from the water is terrifying. I doubt he has the guts. As we chatted, we soon arrived in Stone Ridge. The town manager was a young man, a recent college grad. It was clear that his scientific worldview had been severely challenged over the past month. Master Luna, you're finally here. My name is Evan. I'm the town manager. Oh man, this whole body situation has been driving me crazy. Evan was a talker. His mouth was like a faucet that, once turned on, never shut off. He chattered on for ages, explaining that the villagers were terrified and no one dared to go out at night. The water wraith had caused immense disruption to their lives, and now, we were the entire village's only hope. If we could resolve the situation, they were prepared to give us a commemorative plaque, local specialty foods, and money. Master Luna, you must be hungry after your long journey. Someone kill a chicken, slaughter a sheep, and bring out the good wine. A crowd of villagers surrounded us, pulling me into the largest courtyard in the village. It was spotlessly clean, and a roasting lamb was set up in the middle. The lamb must have been cooking for a while. Its skin was golden brown and sizzling with fat. A breeze carried the aroma of the roast lamb straight to my nose. It was intoxicating. The feast was already prepared, all hearty dishes and plenty of them. Chloe and I had barely taken a few bites when the villagers started approaching us in shifts. One cried about his father having a heart attack from the fright. Another said her child was too scared to go to the bathroom at night and wet the bed every day. One man's story was even more absurd. He claimed the water wraith had scared him into impotence and his wife was threatening to divorce him. These villagers were quite the drama queens. Halfway through the meal, Evan waved his hand, and two young men came forward to pour wine. The older one was in his early 20s. The younger looked like he wasn't even an adult yet. Both were handsome, wearing white tank tops that showed off their lean muscles. A sob story, a feast, and now a honey trap. It seemed the people of Stone Ridge were pulling out all the stops to keep us from getting scared off by the water wraith. After eating and drinking our fill, Chloe and I followed the villagers to the edge of the reservoir. It was much larger than I had imagined, stretching almost to the horizon. Tonight was a full moon, and its light cast a soft, silvery glow on the dark water, making the scenery quite beautiful. However, a massive yacht floating on the water ruined the harmony of the scene. It was a double-decker, and a tall flag fluttered from its bow. As the flag unfurled in the wind, it revealed two words in wild, cursive script. The Luna. I stared blankly at Chloe, who stood with her arms crossed, looking pleased with herself. What are you so satisfied about? The deck of this yacht is at least 3 feet above the water. The wraith could be right under the boat, and you wouldn't even see her. How the hell are we supposed to find anything? Chloe, however, was completely calm. She tossed her head back and lifted her chin. It's about the presentation, you know? You gotta make a statement. Only then did I notice a smaller boat next to the yacht. It had a transparent hull and a pole at its bow with a high-wattage searchlight attached. Now that was more like it. I nodded in satisfaction, but as I turned to speak, I saw the villagers' faces had all changed. The wraith. The wraith is out. Evan shouted, and in the blink of an eye, all the villagers who had followed us up the hill vanished, as if they had never been there at all, leaving only a few abandoned shoes on the ground. Chloe's mouth twitched. I have a curse word on the tip of my tongue, and I'm not sure if I should say it. A female corpse was floating on the water. She was wearing a red dress, her slender white arms and calves exposed. Despite being in the water for nearly a month, her body showed no signs of bloating. She looked as if she had just fallen in. Seeing her, a chill ran down my spine. A full moon, a red dress, 7 months pregnant. This was no ordinary water wraith. Chloe's face was pale, and she forced a smile that was uglier than a grimace. Luna, look, is it me or is she glowing? I focused my gaze and realized the corpse was actively absorbing the moonlight. Countless fine, silvery threads of light were wrapping around her like a cocoon, making it seem as if she were glowing. It dawned on me. No wonder her skin looked as white as snow and as translucent as jade. She was no longer just a water wraith, she was upgrading into a jade corpse. A jade corpse? What kind of corpse is that? Chloe pulled out her phone, opened her notes app, and looked at me curiously. A jade corpse is kind of like the armored zombies of the ghoul world. They cultivate by absorbing moonlight. She's probably just transformed, still in the early stages. When her cultivation is complete, her entire body will turn to jade. She'll be impervious to blades and spears, with skin like bronze and bones like iron. A regular peachwood sword would be like a toy against her. She'd only be vulnerable to heavenly lightning. But here's the problem. She's still a water wraith, so we have to deal with her in the water. Water conducts electricity. One bolt of lightning, and she might be fine, but we'd be electrocuted first. Chloe fell silent. After a long moment, she bit her lip. So, are we still delivering the baby? Of course we were. Half of this wraith's immense malevolent energy came from the fetus inside her. If I could deliver the baby, allowing it to be born and have a chance at reincarnation, her dark energy would be reduced by 70%. Call for backup. Get that girl Lily on the phone. Lily's family were hereditary spirit mediums. They could communicate with the dead, hear their final words, and fulfill their last wishes. To ghosts, the Chung family were practically one of their own. Very few spirits would dare to harm a medium. Most importantly, Lily's contracted guardian spirit was ridiculously handsome. Hopefully, the water wraith would see the handsome guy, mind her manners, and show some mercy. Lily's school wasn't far from here. I made the call, and she immediately hailed a cab. Meanwhile, Chloe and I got off the boat to prepare the altar. If the delivery was successful, we would need to perform a ritual to guide the ghost child's soul to the afterlife immediately. Just as we finished setting up, Lily arrived. And with her was a familiar face, Leo. Seeing us, Lily was thrilled. Luna, I ran into your friend on the way here. I had no idea you knew Mr. Vance. I really admire him. I watch every single one of his debunking videos. Leo had a pair of binoculars hanging around his neck. He raised them, looked at the corpse for a moment, and then burst out laughing, clutching his stomach. Oh, this is priceless. What kind of corpse is that? Is it a plastic mannequin? You guys said this body's been in the water for a month. Ever heard of post-mortem bloat? If not, Google it. With that, he tugged at the headband on his forehead. I only then noticed a small camera attached to it. When he saw me looking at the camera, he raised his eyebrows smugly. See this camera on me? All of these are connected to my computer at home. I told you I'd be live streaming this whole thing. Get ready to be exposed as a fraud in front of 1 million viewers. I glanced at Leo. He had cameras on his forehead, his collar, his belt buckle, quite a few of them. Meanwhile, the viewer count in his live stream was skyrocketing. I really think that Master Luna is a fraud. Leo's right. What kind of corpse doesn't bloat after a month in the water? Who knows what's real and what's fake? We'll find out soon enough. But I gotta say, these girls have guts. Going to a reservoir at night. I wouldn't dare. What's there to be scared of? Have you seen Luna's online store? A single talisman sells for thousands of dollars, a little red string bracelet for a couple grand. Robbery isn't even that fast. Can't wait to see this greedy fraud get exposed. Go Leo. Lily's face turned red with anger. Her chest heaved as she glared at Leo. You're the fraud. That's a water wraith, what do you know? I won't let you talk about Luna like that. Seeing Lily get angry only made Leo more amused. Here everyone, take a look. This young lady I met on the road. She's a college student. Claims to be from a family of spirit mediums. A medium. Ah. Just as I thought. A fraud's friends are all frauds. Whatever. You can't force a bitter melon to be sweet. And you can't save someone who's determined to die. I sighed and tipped my chin at Leo. Fine. You want to stream? Then get on the boat. The boat Chloe had prepared was a decent size, with an altar set up at the stern. After we all boarded, I signaled for Lily to release Julian. The moment Julian appeared, he grabbed Lily's hand and tried to jump into the lake. Whoa, Julian, let's talk about this. Julian rolled his eyes. You all saw that female corpse, right? It's a full moon tonight. The Een energy is already heavy. She died in a red dress, which makes her even more dangerous. Can't you see the malevolent energy is practically forming a suit of armor around her? Lily is small and weak, she can't help. We're leaving. No, Julian, let go. I'm not leaving. I want to help Luna subdue that water wraith. I quickly grabbed Julian's arm and put on a placating smile. Ever heard of the Ghost Cultivator's Handbook? The one written by Xiaobian himself. After this is over, I'll give it to you. Your cultivation will advance by leaps and bounds, and you'll be able to protect Lily better, right? And don't worry, I'll protect Lily. Chloe would die before she let anything happen to her. Julian's face remained stern, but he finally sat down. The kids grow up and have their own ideas. Fine. Leo looked at me, then at Lily. Who are you guys talking to? Starting the act already? Your acting is pretty good. Luna, it's a real shame you're not in Hollywood. Julian was Lily's spirit familiar. As an ordinary person, Leo naturally couldn't see him. Just as clueless as Leo were the viewers in the live stream. Watching this stream late at night is seriously creeping me out. Does anyone else feel this? If I were Leo, I'd be scared to death. The other three seem to be able to see the ghost, but only Leo can't. A dark and stormy night, a floating corpse on the water, and an invisible ghost. Leo is really making a huge sacrifice. Sob, as long as I stay under my covers, no ghost in the world can hurt me. What's to be afraid of? It's obvious they're all in on it, and putting on a show. If there were really a ghost, would they dare to get on that boat? We all ignored Leo and started paddling the boat toward the female corpse. But every time we got close, the body would drift away, as if it were playing a game of cat and mouse with us. After half an hour of paddling, we still couldn't even get a clear look at the woman's face. We were just chasing her from behind. Leo was getting impatient. Luna, is there a motor inside that plastic mannequin? Can you stop acting? It's been long enough. Isn't it time for the main event? Acting. I'll act my foot up your ass. I've had enough of you. Chloe couldn't take it anymore. She stood up and slapped Leo on the back of the head. The live stream chat instantly erupted. Holy crap, she hit him. Chloe just hit him. Rich people are so arrogant, hitting someone in front of so many viewers. Probably because he hit a nerve. Did you see the corpse just made a turn? If that's not a plastic mannequin, I'll eat 3 pounds of shit upside down. Dude above me, if you need more shit, just let me know. I'm not good at much, but I'm an expert at taking a dump. The slap made Leo stumble. He stood up angrily. 1 million viewers are my witnesses. You dared to hit me. I'm going to sue you. Hearing that, Chloe got even more fired up. Go on. Sue me. I'll give you $1 million for that slap. Go ahead. 1 million. 2 million. 3 million. 4 million. Slap. Chloe delivered 4 more hard slaps without hesitation, leaving Leo completely stunned. He held his face, looking ashamed and furious. So what if you're rich? Does being rich mean you can do whatever you want? Chloe then jumped up and kicked him in the stomach. 5 million. Splash. Kicked by Chloe, Leo lost his balance, swayed, and fell straight into the water. The live stream was in an uproar. Countless viewers were even more furious than Leo. Chloe went way too far. What right does she have to hit Leo? Why doesn't she come hit me? I promise I won't fight back. Chloe, look at me. I don't need $1 million. I'll take $500,000. Hey, I'll do it for $100,000. Get lost. Don't ruin the market. Chloe, my queen, look at me. I'll do it for $500. Holy shit, stop arguing. The corpse is moving. After Leo fell in, the female corpse, which had been avoiding us, suddenly turned around and sped toward our boat like a fish. Leo noticed it too. He thrashed in the water and grabbed the side of the boat, his voice laced with terror. Quick, pull me up. Lily looked at him with schadenfreude. Mr. Vance, it's just a plastic mannequin. What are you afraid of? Leo was on the verge of tears. I have thalassophobia. The viewers were very sympathetic. Luna and her friends are being really mean. I have thalassophobia too. Falling into dark water like that at night would seriously give me a heart attack. Wait. Why do I remember Leo being a scuba diving enthusiast? Doesn't he go deep sea diving all the time? I have the link to his diving video. He looks pretty happy. So this thalassophobia thing. To the person above, even if the corpse is a mannequin, anyone would be scared in that situation at night. Mr. Vance probably couldn't admit he was scared and just made up an excuse. Either way, Luna and her crew are definitely out of line. As the corpse drew nearer, Leo's face turned pale with fright. He scrambled with his hands and feet, pulling himself halfway onto the boat. Damn it. You guys are really not going to help me? Are you even human? Just then, something strange happened. The corpse's hair grew wildly like seaweed, and a mass of wet, black hair wrapped around Leo's waist, pulling him back into the water. Help me! Help me! I leaped forward and grabbed Leo's hand. Tonight was a full moon. If Leo died in the water, the wraith's malevolent energy would only intensify, making her even harder to deal with. Besides, with a million viewers watching live, if Leo really died, the situation would spiral out of control. The wraith was incredibly strong. Pulling Leo felt like trying to haul a giant boulder back from the edge of a cliff. Chloe cut her. Chloe drew her 1,000-year-old peachwood sword, but after a couple of pokes, she looked troubled. She's too far. I can't reach. Use the 5 emperor coins. Chloe pinched a few copper coins between her fingers and flung them like throwing stars toward Leo's waist. The coins hit the black hair and erupted in a dazzling burst of light. The hair instantly recoiled, and I seized the opportunity to haul Leo back onto the boat. Leo sat in the boat, still in shock, a handful of black hair clutched in his hand. He flung the hair into Lily's face and then screamed at me, a mix of terror and rage. Holy shit! Luna, there's a limit to jokes. I almost drowned for real. Are you trying to get locked up? Scaring people can kill them, you know? Did you really have to go this far just to stop me from exposing you? I blinked at him, my face expressionless. What's that? You said it's too hot on the boat, and you want to go for a swim to cool off? You got it. Here you go. What the hell? I sent Leo flying back into the lake with a single palm strike, and he landed right next to the female corpse. By now, she was very close to our boat, and I finally got a clear look at her face. She had a delicate, oval face and willow leaf eyebrows, a remarkably beautiful young woman, probably not even 30. Her eyes were wide open, with tears of blood trailing from the corners. She hadn't died in peace. When Leo landed next to her, she suddenly sat up straight, sitting on the surface of the water as if it were solid ground. She reached out, wrapped her hand around Leo's neck, and threw her head back, laughing. As she laughed, fresh red tears of blood streamed down her face. When a vengeful ghost weeps blood, it means they won't rest until death. Lily grabbed my hand in a panic. Luna, what do we do? Why did this water wraith suddenly go berserk? What rotten luck? I spat in frustration and, with my peachwood sword between my teeth, dove into the water. The livestream chat was as chaotic as New Year's Eve. Stars and stripes, protect me. Vile spirit, be gone. Be gone. Be gone. I pissed my pants when that ghost sat up. Luckily, I had the brilliant idea of putting my 3-year-old daughter on the bed with me. Now my wife is yelling at her and changing her pants. Dude above me, you're an asshole. Holy crap, look at Leo's face. I think she's strangling him to death. I don't think that's a mannequin. Can a mannequin's fingers grip someone that hard? It must be a real person in costume. These scammers will do anything to trick people. What kind of scammer can sit so steadily on water and choke out a man in his 30s with no effort? I think this ghost is real. I'm gonna go play the Great Compassion Mantra, BRB. I swam up to the ghost with the sword in my mouth and slashed at the arm she was using to choke Leo. Raph! The ghost roared at me and was forced to retract her arm. Seeing his chance, Leo turned and swam for the boat. The ghost tried to follow, but I intercepted her. She shrieked at me in fury, her hair whipping toward me like the long sleeves in a martial arts movie. I was baffled. The ghost seemed to have a vendetta against Leo. He was the only man on our boat. Could it be that she was harmed by a scumbag in her life? This ghost was incredibly difficult to deal with. In the water, I could only use about 30% of my strength, and the fight was exhausting me. 5 Thunder Heavenly Tribulation Talisman. Arg. A lightning talisman from Chloe struck down, repelling the ghost but also zapping me. My whole body seized up, and I began to sink fast. Just as I was about to run out of air, someone splashed into the water. Chloe pulled me back onto the boat. I collapsed on the deck, glaring at her. You betrayed your own master. My lips were numb from the electricity, making it hard to speak. Chloe scratched her head with an embarrassed grin. Heh, it was the heat of the moment. Leo was lying in the boat like a half-dead dog, gasping for air. After a while, he propped himself up, his lips trembling. He asked hesitantly, That ghost, she's not really an actor you hired, is she?" I ignored him and turned to look at the lake. The shimmering surface was silent, the female corpse was gone. The fight was over. Now it was Lily's turn. Lily took a deep breath, stood up, and began to shake a strangely shaped bone bell. The dull clacking of bone against bone echoed across the silent lake. Standing straight, Lily began to call out, "Pretty sister, being a vengeful ghost means suffering the torment of astral winds and the pain of the sun's glare every day. Can you bear to let your child suffer with you? He died in your womb at 7 months, without a name, unable to enter the cycle of reincarnation. If you let us deliver him, let him be born safely, he can be reincarnated. I'm friends with the underworld officials. I can ask them to find a good family for your child, to ensure he has a life of peace, happiness, and comfort. Isn't that better than drifting in this lake?" Before Lily could finish, Leo let out a snort of contempt. After I shot him a glare, he fell silent, but his eyes were full of disdain. Even though Luna kicked Leo into the water, I feel like it was awesome. He's so annoying. I know, right? That moment when Luna jumped into the water, without a second thought, was so cool. Cool my ass, it was all an act. Leo's the real victim here, getting thrown into the water twice for no reason. It doesn't look like an act. Did you hear the bone bell that girl was shaking? The moment it rang, my grandpa's portrait fell off the wall. Holy shit. Holy shit. My grandma's picture just fell off the table too. That's nothing. My grandpa just passed away yesterday, and his funeral is tomorrow. I was holding a vigil in the memorial hall, and the lid of his urn just popped open. WTF. I am seriously terrified. I think my grandpa wants to take me with him. Wah. It was already past 9 o'clock at night, but the number of viewers in the livestream was still climbing. Countless people were glued to their phones, waiting with a mix of anticipation and fear for me to deliver the ghost's baby. There was no movement on the water. I thought for a moment, then took out the brass bell from my pocket and began to shake it in time with Lily's bone bell. I know you were murdered. Don't worry, after I deliver your baby, I will find your killer. Then you can have your revenge. I am a direct disciple of the Maoshan inner circle. You saw the 5 Thunder Heavenly Tribulation talisman earlier. If I really wanted to destroy you, I would have already scattered your soul to the winds. Lily's spirit familiar, Julian, also stood up and called out to the lake. Sister, please come up. We mean you no harm. Sister, don't you want to see your baby? Don't you want to know if it's a cute little boy or a beautiful little girl? After Julian called out twice, the surface of the lake finally stirred. The female corpse reappeared and began to drift toward our boat. A surge of joy went through me. It worked. It seemed this ghost still had a shred of humanity left and hadn't completely lost her mind. When she reached the side of the boat, I jumped into the water and lifted her aboard. Her body was ice cold. Holding her was like holding a huge block of ice, and the chill made my hair stand on end. The corpse lay on the deck, her left hand clenched into a tight fist, as if she were holding something. I gently pried her fingers open and found a glittering pendant in her palm, probably from a necklace. Whoa! Leo suddenly lurched toward me, bumping my hand and sending the pendant flying. Luckily, I was quick and caught it with a nimble scoop. He waved his hand sheepishly. Sorry about that. Lost my balance. I couldn't help but glance at him. From his expression just now, he seemed disappointed. This corpse is so beautiful. She looks so young. This is definitely not a mannequin. No mannequin could be made to look this real. Man, for some reason, seeing her makes me feel really sad. Did you guys see the pendant she was holding? It's a Cartier Panther. I think I've seen someone wear that before. Hey, why is the camera flickering? Wait, what the hell? The screen went black. Where's the stream? The feed cut out. Leo, having lost his balance again, fell into the water. When he climbed back out, the cameras on his body were gone. He sat on the side of the boat, panting, head down, saying nothing, looking utterly exhausted. I gave him a meaningful look and slipped the necklace into my bag. With the corpse on board, the delivery ceremony could officially begin. I had Chloe prepare the altar and then took out a clean yellow cloth for the corpse to lie on. Leo, turn around. I'm about to deliver the baby. You can't watch. If I don't watch, how will I know if you're faking it? I snorted. Getting kicked back in the water or turning around? Your choice. Leo shut up and turned around. I had Chloe keep an eye on him while Lily and I sat on either side of the corpse. An infant of Eve born in the night, shielded from the young light. A child enters the world, given a name to bear, to enter the cycle of reincarnation, and be reborn without delay. Let the candles burn. Let the shadow fetus emerge. As I finished the incantation, the corpse's legs parted, and her belly swelled up like a balloon, growing larger and larger. Lily sat beside her, holding the corpse's hand while shaking the bone bell with her other. You can do it, sister. The baby's almost here. I reached my hand under the corpse's dress and felt a round, fleshy ball. It was coming. Just as Lily and I were getting excited, Leo suddenly stood up and lunged at the corpse, a peachwood sword in his hand that seemed to have come from nowhere. I kicked him to the ground and shielded the corpse's belly with my hand. The peachwood sword stabbed forcefully into the back of my hand, which quickly became red and swollen. Chloe grabbed Leo by the collar and gave him 2 hard slaps. What the hell, are you crazy? If you interrupt a water wraith's birth, we're all going to die. But it was too late. The corpse's swollen belly deflated, and she brought her legs together, sat up and jumped back into the water. Lily was stunned by this turn of events. She stared blankly at Leo. What's your problem? Why would you stop her from giving birth? He didn't want to stop her from giving birth. He knew that childbirth is when a water wraith is at her weakest. He wanted to use that opportunity to destroy both mother and child, so they could never be reincarnated. Leo sat to one side, his face grim. He gave me a sinister smile. You figured it out, huh? Luna Reed, you really do have some skills. Chloe and Lily were both shocked. What does that mean? He knew it was a real corpse? Everything before was an act. Why would he want to destroy the wraith? I rubbed the back of my hand and sat up. Because naturally he's the baby's father. Leo burst out laughing, as if he'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. He laughed so hard that tears came to his eyes. Luna Reed, are you insane? I held up the pendant and dangled it. We'll find out tomorrow if I'm insane or not. This pendant has a serial number. The store will definitely have a record of your purchase. We just have to check it. And this girl, she's probably from your hometown, right? If the police take her photo there and ask around, I'm sure plenty of people in the village will recognize her. Leo stopped laughing. His face was mocking, his eyes filled with a murderous glint. You know too much. Haven't you ever seen a movie? People who know too much don't tend to have happy endings. Seeing his expression, Chloe feigned terror and hid behind me. Holy crap, you're not thinking of silencing us, are you? Oh right, the live stream. You're still streaming, right? The viewers will call the police. Leo grinned, touching his forehead. What live stream? I turned it off a long time ago. You didn't really think I'd come out on this boat alone, did you? Put put put. The sound of a motor echoed from the shore of the reservoir. A boat was cutting through the waves, heading toward us at high speed. I craned my neck to look and saw 4 or 5 shadowy figures standing on it. I sighed at Leo. Leo, turn back now. It's not too late to stop this. That girl was probably your girlfriend back in your village, right? From your face, I can tell you grew up poor, but your fortune star is in the right place, meaning you got through college with a woman's financial support. After college, you met your current wife, a wealthy socialite. So you told your girlfriend to wait for you back in your rural hometown while you got married, had a child, and became an influencer in the big city. Later, your hometown girlfriend heard rumors, came here to find you, and you killed her and threw her body into this remote reservoir. You probably tied her up in a sack with a bunch of rocks. I'm just not sure how her body managed to float to the surface. After it did, you kept a close watch on this village. When you saw the villagers had found me, you jumped out, claiming you wanted to debunk me, right? Clap, clap, clap. The sound of applause broke the silence. Leo sat in his seat, clapping his hands forcefully. Impressive, very impressive. You managed to guess about 80 to 90% of it. Fine. I'll let you know the whole truth before you die. Anything else you want to ask? I did indeed have many questions. From the woman's face, I can tell this was her first child. But her progeny palace is full, and her eyes are clear. She should have been very fertile. Why was it that after more than a decade with you, she only got pregnant this year? Leo spat in disgust. A stupid country woman. What right does she have to bear my child? I bought her birth control pills and told her to take them every day. When I went back home for the new year, the idiot ran out of pills and didn't even tell me. So unlucky. I'll kill you, you son of a bitch. Chloe was about to leap up, but I held her down. Grind, grind, grind. I looked to my side and saw Lily grinding her teeth so hard with rage that her round, chubby face was contorted. I patted her hand and continued questioning Leo. Those debunking videos of yours are fake, right? They're paid hits from competitors to slander those businesses. Leo shook his head. You got that wrong. Half of them are real, half are fake. But I take their money to survive. Only by surviving can I expose more truths. It's all for the good of the people. They should be thanking me. All right, you've asked enough questions. Now it's my turn. Luna Reed, you're so good at fortune telling. Have you foreseen what's going to happen next? Leo stood up, laughing maniacally. By this time, the other large boat had pulled up alongside ours. 4 burly men stood on it, all wearing waders for electric fishing. Seeing Leo, one of them reached out and pulled him onto their boat. I looked closely at their boat. It was covered in cinnabar talismans to suppress spirits. Ghost-dispelling banners hung from the bow and stern, and 8 trigram mirrors were placed at the 8 cardinal directions of the boat. It seemed Leo had come well prepared. The female corpse had resurfaced at some point, and was now floating not far from us. Leo frowned in disgust at the sight of her. Rose, you couldn't do anything to me when you were alive. You really think you can hurt me as a ghost? I can kill you once, I can kill you twice. Men, drop the electric nets. Fry them all. I stood up from my seat. Lily grabbed my hand in panic. Luna, this is bad. The boat seems to be leaking. Hearing this, Leo's smile grew wider. You idiots. Why else do you think I was wasting so much time talking to you? I was secretly drilling a hole in your boat. A bunch of little girl frauds. You really think you're some kind of masters? Well, you're all pretty good looking. It's a real shame you have to die like this. But who told you to know so much? I stood on the boat and looked up at Leo. So everyone who knows the truth has to die? In that case, you're going to be a little busy. Because besides us, there are a million other people who know the truth. I pointed to the railing of the boat, and then to the necklace around Chloe's neck. You didn't know, did you? You're not the only one who came prepared to stream. Chloe, worried that Leo might fake a stream and edit the footage maliciously, had carefully prepared numerous cameras on the boat. Her cameras were far superior to Leo's, offering a 360-degree, all-encompassing view. Not only was the footage crystal clear with night vision, but the audio was also synced in real time. At this moment, the livestream chat was a torrent of curses and outrage. Holy shit. Help me. I was afraid of my favorite celebrity having a scandal, so I decided to follow a righteous debunker vlogger instead. This isn't a scandal, this is a goddamn earthquake. How can such a disgusting scumbag exist? I'll pitch in $1. I'm begging Master Luna to end him. Master Luna, I'm not kidding, please take Leo out. I can provide you with an alibi in court. You were having dinner at my house when it happened, my whole family can testify. Forget Leo for a second. What about Tubby Todd? Todd, come out quick. Your son isn't your son. Leo stood on the boat, his face ashen. It shifted from green to white as he stood there, stunned. After a long moment, he gritted his teeth and roared. Get them. Now. Kill them all. The man standing next to him slapped him across the face, sending him spinning. Do you think I'm a fucking idiot? This is a live stream. Who are you telling me to kill? Then he turned to us and raised his hands. I surrender. I was just here to do some electric fishing. I know it's illegal, and I was wrong. My conscience got the better of me before I even started. Officer, this is a voluntary cessation of a crime. I surrender, officer. The other men beside him, hearing this, scrambled to raise their hands as well. Officer, My great-grandma just came to me in a dream and told me that killing is wrong. I was wrong, officer. I promise I'll never kill another fish again. I'm reporting a crime, officer. The guy who sold me these electric fishing waders, he's secretly doing it too. I'll take Leo to the police station right now to turn himself in. I ask all the viewers to bear witness for me. I've performed a meritorious service. After their declarations, the men tied Leo up like a dumpling and quickly steered the boat toward the shore. And right behind them, the water wraith followed closely. It looked like she was going ashore. A water wraith cannot go ashore without a reason. They die in the water and are bound to it. Once on land, they are like fish out of water, suffering the torment of the astral winds. If they stay too long, even their souls will dissipate. This wraith was planning to take Leo down with her. What are you waiting for? After them. I yelled and paddled furiously. To avoid disturbing the wraith earlier, I had Chloe choose the quietest boat. Now it was quiet, but paddling it was exhausting. Chloe was using all her strength. Holy crap! Luna, this boat is sinking fast. Lily was on the verge of tears. It really is. It's sinking so fast. We'll probably sink before we even reach the shore. Sink my ass. Julian, don't just stand there. Bail the water out. As a new ghost, Julian could only touch very light objects. The paddle was too heavy for him to lift. I threw him a bowl, and he started frantically bailing water with it. Am I seeing things? Or is there really a bowl floating in midair? Why does that bowl look so familiar? Holy shit. Holy shit. It's a Northern Song Dynasty dingware bowl with a carved lotus pattern. What's with the bowl? Why is the person above so excited? Nothing much, just that a similar-looking bowl sold for over 24 million at a Hong Kong auction. If anyone ever says Master Luna is a scammer again, I'll be the first to disagree. My whole family's net worth isn't even worth the base of her bowl. What would she gain by scamming me? Yeah, but the way the three of them are paddling is actually kind of hilarious. Chloe looks so tired her tongue is hanging out. The viewers were enthusiastic, and the chat flew by like the paddle in my hand. Despite our frantic efforts, the boat sank when we were still about 60 feet from the shore. Save the bowl. If my wife and that bowl both fell into the water, and I went to save my wife, she'd haunt me for the rest of my life. Look. Luna and the others are swimming. The bowl is gone, the bowl sank. Oh God. No. I can't accept this. Please tell me this isn't real. Everyone look, the bowl is floating again. It's floating in the air, following Luna and her friends. The tone of the livestream suddenly shifted. You would have thought it was the Olympics, with countless people thumping their chests in excitement over the bowl's rescue. But right now, my mind was on what was happening ashore. Leo had dared to come to the lake alone. He must have been wearing a lot of protective items. After so many years as an influencer, his net worth was considerable. And from the look of that other boat, it was clear he had found some powerful help. The water wraith, now on land, might not be a match for Leo. I kicked my legs furiously, wishing I had been born with a few more arms and legs. After a desperate swim, I reached the shore, and the sight before me sent a chill down my spine. Leo lay on his back, dead in a gruesome state. Blood poured from his eyes, nose, and mouth. A large hole was torn in his chest, and inside, it was empty. His heart had been ripped out. Beside him lay the female corpse, collapsed on the ground, her face filled with hatred. The malevolent energy around her had faded significantly, and small points of white light were seeping from her body, like a swarm of fireflies. Those white lights were her soul. Rose, the poor woman, was about to have her soul scattered to the winds. My heart ached. When Rose saw me, a glimmer of hope appeared in her eyes. She crawled toward me on all fours, making a terrible ha-ha sound. Luna, she wants you to deliver her baby. Lily and Chloe had also arrived. Lily was so exhausted she collapsed to her knees, but she still managed to pull out her bone bell. I threw my brass bell to Chloe, and carried the corpse to a flat patch of grass nearby. As the distant, clear sound of the bells rang out, my voice carried far into the silent night. An infant of Een born in the night, shielded from the young light. A child enters the world, given a name to bear, to enter the cycle of reincarnation, and be reborn without delay. Let the candles burn. Let the shadow fetus emerge. Shadow fetus emerge. Arg! With a final, agonizing scream from Rose, a purplish-black baby fell into my hands. I held the infant up to the moonlight. On this night, in the year of the water rabbit, the month of the metal monkey, the day of the metal ox, and the hour of the metal rat, Rose has given birth to a son. I name him River. The baby was born with a name. He could now enter the cycle of reincarnation. I placed the infant in Rose's arms. She held him carefully, as if he were the most precious treasure in the world. The white light around her grew denser and more numerous. A gust of wind blew the light into the reservoir, where it mingled with the moonlight. The water was as still as the moon, silent and peaceful. I turned back to Rose. She had closed her eyes peacefully, a contented smile on her lips. Wah wah wah. Chloe threw down her bell and hugged Lily, crying her eyes out. Rose, your death was so tragic. You sacrificed your soul to give birth to your child. And now Luna has to give him the name River. River? Why does it have to be such an ugly name? Furious, I walked over and smacked her on the head. He was born by the lake. What else was I supposed to call him? You do it if you're so smart. Chloe jumped up defiantly and started sparring with me, shouting out a name with each move. How about Caspian? Or Wade? Or Ford? Just as we were getting into it, my phone rang. I kicked Chloe to the ground, pulled out my phone, and saw it was a call from my master. Quiet down, it's Master. Master. Yes, I understand. Chloe and I will leave first thing tomorrow morning. Chloe rubbed her butt and stood up, leaning in eagerly. Where are we going? What did Master say? I waved my phone at her. We're going to Nevada. To gamble on stones. Part 2. I was in Nevada, gambling on stones. I had just cut open 3 top-grade jadites in a row. The Crown Prince of Crystal Falls not only stole my jade, but also tried to have me thrown in jail. But he didn't know that hidden within those stones were 1,000-year-old corpse beetles. And they held a terrifying secret. Luna, there have to be over 500 stalls here, and each one has at least a few hundred stones. How are we supposed to find anything? Chloe and I stood bewildered in front of the Crystal Falls night market, the largest gem gambling market in the city. The market was huge, with one half brightly lit and the other pitch black. The illuminated side was all finished jade products. The dark side, however, was where the raw, uncut stones were sold. To better inspect the stones, the entire area was kept almost completely dark. Everyone used flashlights to see, making it easy to trip over people. Our mission was to find several hidden, top-grade jadites in this city, known as the capital of gem gambling. How many exactly? No idea. What color jade? No clue. Where to look? Guess. This was the gist of my conversation with my master. If anyone else had spoken to me like that, I would have beaten them senseless. My master had said she couldn't sleep one night, and was playing with her tortoise shells for divination. One toss revealed a great evil about to emerge from the direction of Nevada. This great evil was hidden in the earth, most likely 1,000-year-old, jade-infused corpse beetle. So, Chloe and I came to Crystal Falls overnight to find this ancient creature for our master. My name is Luna Reed. I'm a Taoist priestess, a true disciple of the Maoshan tradition. Chloe is my apprentice and best friend. Our master, Seraphina, went into seclusion 1,000 years ago and only recently emerged. She's a millennium-old ancestor. Her disciples founded the Maoshan school, which split into 2 branches. The outer branch integrated with the world, opening temples and accepting many students, becoming a famous Taoist holy site. The inner branch, however, remained hidden in the mountains, passing down its teachings from master to chosen disciple. The outer branch primarily handles rituals, talisman drawing, and basic fortune telling. Our inner branch is responsible for subduing demons, catching ghosts, and dispelling evil. We also begin rigorous martial arts training at the age of 3. They say this is the biggest gem gambling market in the area. Let's just go in and take a look. Chloe, full of curiosity, pulled me into the night market. We entered the raw stone section, where the light was dim. We hadn't taken more than a few steps before bumping into someone. Hey, are you blind? Who the hell just stepped on me? Oh, are you 2 beautiful ladies here for the first time? Hello, my name is Caden. As in, from the Caden family, the one that's basically run this state for the last 300 years. A tall man in a black suit winked his left eye at us, a greasy smile on his face. In the middle of summer he was wearing a suit and tie, with what looked like at least 3 bottles of hair gel in his hair. I glanced down. Oh, a suit and tie on top, shorts and flip-flops on the bottom. A truly unique look. When Chloe and I didn't respond, the man in the suit flicked his hair, revealing a pale, handsome face. I get it. The first time women see me, they're always stunned by my good looks. He turned to the person next to him, and held up a finger. Show quiet. Don't disturb these 2 lovely ladies. Let them bask in my beauty for a little longer. Mr. Caden, they're already gone. We had ignored the sudden appearance of this lunatic. Chloe practically dragged me away, almost breaking into a run. Hurry. That's Caden, the city's notorious peacock. He's incredibly annoying. The Caden family had deep roots in Crystal Falls, with influence in both legitimate and illegitimate businesses. Most of the city's most profitable industries were in their hands. And Caden himself was the city's famous prince, known by almost everyone. Chloe and I turned a corner and stopped at a stall. The owner was a bald, middle-aged man who was incredibly enthusiastic when he saw us. He even handed us 2 jade inspecting flashlights. Take a look. All top-quality stones from the Hojiang mine. Thin rind, complete wax coating, no cracks. A sure win. Chloe and I had been wandering around aimlessly. It was rare to meet such a friendly owner, so we stopped and shone our flashlights on the stones. Boss, how much for this stone? Chloe pretended to inspect it, and the owner held up 5 fingers. Cheap. Only 50,000. Young lady, you have great taste. The stone in your hand is a rare garlic peel, iron dragon seed. White with a hint of red. No matter how you cut it, it's a win. You might even cut out an imperial green. What? A fist-sized stone for $50,000? I stared at the stone in disbelief. The price was almost as high as gold. They say you should always bargain hard. I held up one hand and tentatively asked, $500? Sold. The owner snatched the stone from Chloe's hand and shoved it into mine, simultaneously presenting a QR code. Venmo or Zelle. Credit card works too. The whole sequence was as smooth as silk, as if he were afraid I'd change my mind. Clearly, he was well practiced. My mouth twitched as I looked at him, speechless. I don't want it anymore. The owner's friendly expression vanished instantly. What did you just say? You new here, little girl? Don't you know the rules? You made an offer, you have to buy. The owner slammed his hand on the table, and several burly men immediately surrounded us. Chun, what do you think you're doing? These are my people. You dare touch them. Caden strode toward us, arms crossed, with an air of absolute arrogance. Seeing him, the owner's face changed and he seemed to shrink in size. Oh my God. I knew there was a reason the birds were singing in my yard all morning. Mr. Caden, your presence graces my humble stall. Caden lifted his chin proudly. How much? I'll pay for them. One of his followers immediately took out his phone and paid. After the payment, the owner kept winking at us. You're so lucky to have caught Mr. Caden's eye. When Mr. Caden makes a move, it's always generous. Grand. Extraordinary. Looking at Caden's proud expression, you would have thought he'd paid $5 million for us, not 500. You won't find any good stones at these stalls. If you really want to see something special, come with me. Caden was dismissive of the night market, saying that the truly good material never made it to the public. It was all claimed right out of the mine. There was an exclusive raw stone shop in Crystal Falls where the chances of finding jade were very high. The major jewelers were all regular customers there. But the shop was members only, ordinary people couldn't get in. Caden glanced at us. That's where the good stones are. So interested in coming with me to take a look? Chloe and I exchanged a look and got into the car with Caden. Corpse beetles are spiritual creatures and like to lay their eggs in jade. The better the jade, the higher the chance of finding them. All we'd have to do is drop some blood on the stone, and the beetles inside would awaken. Plus, they are social creatures. Find one, and you'll often find a whole colony. The car soon arrived at a traditional, courtyard-style building. 2 muscular security guards stood at the entrance. In the car, I had done a quick numerology divination. The hexagram, the divinatory symbol, showed that the southeast direction was auspicious. And this courtyard was in the southeast of the city. This was the reason Chloe and I had put up with Caden the whole way. I happened to be selecting a batch of material today. You too can pick a few stones as well. Put it on my tab. If you strike it rich, the profit is yours. Caden, surrounded by his entourage, walked into the courtyard. We followed him into a spacious room. The lighting inside was dim, with only a few cutting machines in the northwest corner. Along the left wall were several wooden shelves filled with stones of all sizes. In the empty space in front of the shelves, giant boulders were scattered about. The smallest was the size of a watermelon, while the largest looked to be over 3 feet high and 6 feet long. All the stones had price tags. The largest one was priced at a staggering $120 million. The stones on the shelves were much cheaper. The stones on the first shelf were all under $10,000. The second shelf had stones under $100,000, and the third, under $500,000. Chloe was dazzled. There are so many stones. How are we supposed to find anything? I grinned and pulled out a bottle of yin-yang water from my bag. Making yin-yang water is a complex process. You have to collect morning dew on the first day of spring, midnight rain on the summer solstice, early morning frost on the first day of autumn, and midnight snow on the winter solstice. This water, infused with the essence of the 4 seasons and the 5 elements, connects the worlds of yin and yang. When applied to the eyelids, it allows one to briefly see the spiritual energy of the world. I was born with yin-yang eyes, and with the help of this water, my eyes become spirit eyes. Stones have no energy, but jade has a spirit. The better the jade, the more abundant its spiritual energy. Don't be shy. Pick any stone from the shelves. It's on me today. Caden waved his hand magnanimously, the picture of a rich tycoon. I had a mission to complete, so I had no time to be polite. I carefully applied the yin-yang water to my eyelids. Before I could even start looking, I heard a sneer. What's that holy water? For a young lady, you sure have a lot of drama. Caden leaned in curiously, examining the bottle in my hand. Well, look at that. It's a Dasani bottle. Chloe couldn't help but pinch me. I've told you so many times to get a nice bottle for this. All you ever use are these damn drink bottles. What's wrong with it? This bottle is great. It's light, it holds a lot, and it's a waste to throw it away. What do you know? I rolled my eyes at Chloe and walked over to the shelves, squinting as I began to choose. This one's from the old Pagan mine, but the rind is a bit rough, not top quality. Oh, and there's a crack. Let me see. Caden took the stone from my hand and shone his flashlight on it. It's a chicken foot crack. This stone is no good. Pick another one. This one's good, from the Gelamo mine. And it has a black sand rind. You should pick this one. Caden put the stone I had painstakingly chosen back on the shelf. When he saw me standing there without taking his suggestion, he frowned. This is your first time gambling on stones, isn't it? You have to choose based on 4 things. The mine, the rind, the cracks, and the shape. If you don't know the mines, you don't play the game. Also, the finer the rind, the better. The finer the particles, the higher the chance of finding green. Got it. I rolled my eyes again and picked up the stone I had originally chosen. I want this one. I had spotted this stone at first glance. Among a sea of lifeless rocks, the white light emanating from its top was like a firefly in the dark night, so bright and outstanding. Seeing my defiance, Caden's expression hardened. He stared at me for a moment, then smirked. Fine. $30,000 for a lesson. Pete, cut the stone for her. The man named Pete must have been the owner here. He took the stone from me and drew a line across the middle with a pen. I knew what that meant. Where he drew the line is where he'd cut. This stone most likely had a corpse beetle inside. If he cut right through the middle and woke it up, we'd be in big trouble. Corpse beetles are not only filled with yin energy, but can also possess living humans, controlling their actions, much like the aliens in those horror movies. Anyone possessed by a corpse beetle is as good as dead. Not even the king of hell can save them. There were too many people here. I couldn't let the beetle be awakened in this place. Don't cut it from the middle. Cut the very edge. I snatched the pen from Pete and drew a new line on the stone. Caden laughed in exasperation. Fine, fine. When it turns out to be worthless, don't come crying to me. Worthless my ass. I cursed him silently, but this was his territory. And if a large swarm of corpse beetles did appear, we would need to use his family's connections. Thinking of this, I took a deep breath and forced a smile at Caden. There were quite a few people choosing stones in the room. Seeing that someone was about to cut one open, everyone gathered around, commenting on my stone. Why did she pick a stone like that? It's got a crack. It's not the big cracks you should worry about, it's the small ones. You bet on color, not on small cracks. This girl looks like a novice. Hey, and she's with Mr. Caden. Mr. Caden, why didn't you help the young lady out? What if she starts crying when it's a bust? The crowd burst into laughter. Caden shot me a sidelong glance and gave the owner a look. What can I do? Pretty girls are always stubborn. They don't listen to advice. I was focused on the stone, but Chloe leaned in and tugged at my sleeve. Holy crap, Luna, I think my face reading skills have gotten really rusty. Look at this crowd. Why do so many of them have the mark of a violent death? Didn't you say that's a 1 in 100 thing? There are at least 8 of them here. My heart skipped a beat. I quickly looked up and scanned the crowd. Chloe was wrong. It wasn't 8 people who had the mark of a violent death. It was 10. And 2 others had a dark aura and a shortened philtrum. While not fated for a violent death, they were destined to die today. So many people were going to die here. It seemed there really were corpse beetles, and a lot of them. Am I seeing things? Pete, is that green? It's not green, it's purple. A deep violet. And it's glass type. It's a hit. A big hit. The crowd erupted. The owner splashed a cup of water on the cut surface. The purple was deep and delicate, with a faint shimmer, almost unnaturally beautiful. A middle-aged man in glasses pushed through the crowd and handed me a business card. Miss, I'm the manager of Minghua Jewelry. Are you interested in selling this violet jade? I'll offer 5 million. 7 million. I'll give 7 million. She's with Mr. Caden, the owner said calmly. The crowd froze for a second, then fell silent, disappointed. Seeing the stone in my hand, Caden raised an eyebrow in surprise. He looked me up and down several times before asking hesitantly, Are you picking more? Of course I was. I quickly picked 3 more stones from the shelf. These 3 had the strongest spiritual energy, even better than the violet jadeite we had just cut. If I was right, all of them had corpse beetles inside. I needed to get them out of here as soon as possible before they hatched and hurt people. I picked my stones and turned to leave, but Caden blocked my path. Pete, cut all the stones she picked. I shook my head. Although the people here were fated to die violently, there was a hint of red in the darkness of their brows, indicating they would meet a benefactor. Clearly, I was that benefactor. If I could leave with the stones now, they still had a chance to live. I'm not cutting them. I'm buying them myself, and I don't want to cut them right now. I said cut them now. So you cut them now. Caden's tone was heavy. I glanced at his thick eyebrows. This man was moody and domineering. This was going to be trouble. Seeing I wasn't responding, Caden yelled at the owner impatiently. Cut them. Are you deaf? Cut my ass, Chloe exploded in anger, but just as she was about to start cursing, the cold barrel of a gun was pressed against her temple. Caden spat. I hate women who don't listen. Do you understand? Just moments ago, he was calling us pretty ladies, and now his face was full of murderous intent. This man changed his mood faster than flipping a page. Don't worry, I'll buy whatever you cut at market price. You won't lose a dime. When you're under someone else's roof, you have to bow your head. No matter how good your martial arts are, you can't beat a bullet. I looked at the gun in Caden's hand, feeling incredibly frustrated. If I didn't act, I was afraid the beetles would get out. But if I did and caused a commotion, the beetles would get out anyway. And Chloe had only been training with me for a short time. Her skills were average. She definitely couldn't dodge a bullet. It's a hit. Another hit. A gasp of astonishment came from the crowd. The second stone revealed a brilliantly colored red jadeite. Pete, the stonecutter, sucked in a breath. I haven't seen such a beautiful, true red in years. The color is vibrant, the texture is fine and transparent. A masterpiece, a true masterpiece. Caden stroked his chin. Interesting. Very interesting. Keep cutting. The third stone was a legendary old mine glass type imperial green. The green was rich and vibrant, pure and even in color, without a single impurity. It was so lustrous it looked like it could drip oil. The room fell silent, with only a few heavy breaths disturbing the quiet. Caden looked at me with a complex expression, then gestured for someone to take the bottle from my pocket. This water, is it really that magical? Pete, what are you waiting for? Keep cutting. Caden looked at the bottle in his hand with interest, even shining his flashlight on it. Now only the last stone remained. That stone was bursting with spiritual energy. When I had used my yin-yang eyes earlier, the entire stone was a ball of white light. Pete carefully placed the stone on the machine and cut a tiny corner off the very edge. Hiss! What color is this? Mr. Caden, come take a look. Just then, a sharp pang of dread hit me. I looked up at the cut stone, and my pupils contracted. The cut corner revealed a faint golden glow, laced with thin black lines. It didn't look like jade, it looked more like a piece of gold hidden inside the stone. Holy shit! It's a corpse beetle egg cluster. Corpse beetles are a bit like leeches, they're hermaphrodites. And even more incredibly, they don't need a partner to reproduce. But a regular corpse beetle can only lay one egg at a time. If you were to cut to the very center of the jadeites I'd picked earlier, you'd probably find a single, rice-sized golden beetle egg. But among the beetles, there are always exceptions. The beetle queen. A beetle queen's energy is incredibly dense, and she can lay up to 7 to 14 eggs at once. The last stone I had chosen wasn't a jadeite at all, it was a giant corpse beetle egg cluster. Is this a yellow jadeite? The color is beautiful like gold. A real treasure. Follow this cut and polish a bit more of the rind off. Caden stood up straight and patted Pete on the shoulder. Stop. Oh God. Get back. Pete was incredibly fast. Before the words were even out of my mouth, he had the stone in his hand. With the roar of the grinder, the stone exploded in his grasp. A flash of golden light, and a dozen or so fly-sized corpse beetles flew out of the stone. These beetles grew at an astonishing rate in the air, swelling in size as they flew. By the time they reached the ceiling, they were the size of a fist. They were jet black, with a single golden stripe down their backs, and were hideously ugly, looking something like giant winged isopods. What the hell are those things? Caden's eyes went wide. He jumped aside in panic, pulling out his gun and aiming it at the beetles. After circling 3 times in the air, the beetles scattered, diving toward the crowd. Run! I shouted, rushing forward. Corpse beetles have long lifespans. They can't be drowned or burned. They feed on human flesh and life force, and can survive for 1,000 years without eating or drinking. But everything in the universe has its counter. Corpse beetles are formed from the energy of rotting corpses in ancient tombs. They are beings of pure and creatures fear yang energy the most. Chloe and I were covered in protective artifacts, from the peachwood tokens around our necks to the blessed cinnabar bracelets on our wrists, all of which were powerful weapons against creatures. So the beetles wouldn't come for us. Sure enough, a beetle that had been heading for me veered off in midair and flew toward the jewelry manager. Gag, gurgle, help me help. The beetle flew straight at the manager's forehead and latched onto his face with its sharp claws. It flicked its thumb-thick tail, using it to pry open the man's mouth. Then, the beetle began to crawl backward on his face, disappearing into his mouth until the entire creature was gone. Holy shit. What the hell is that thing? This scene drove everyone insane with fear. After swallowing the beetle, the manager lay motionless on the ground. But after only a dozen seconds, he was already staggering to his feet. The whites of his eyes had turned gray, and his movements were stiff. The beetle had now eaten his brain, and was controlling his body and actions. If you were to give him a CT scan now, you would see that where his brain should be, there was nothing but a coiled corpse beetle. The manager shook his head and, with his arms outstretched, lunged at Caden. Caden's face went white with terror. Don't come near me. One more step and I'll blow your head off. The manager didn't listen. Instead, he quickened his stumbling pace. Bang! Bang! Gunshots rang out. The manager, hit by the bullets, staggered back a couple of steps, but then looked up and continued to walk stubbornly toward Caden. Careful, his nails are poisonous. Just as the manager was about to pounce on Caden, I delivered a flying kick that sent him flying 2 meters away. Then I shoved a red string bracelet into Caden's hand. Quick, tie it around your wrist. People controlled by corpse beetles have a potent corpse toxin in their bodies, especially in their blood. Those infected with the toxin will develop large gray spots on their skin, which will begin to rot within 3 days. If not cured within 7 days, they will become walking corpses. The beetles moved with lightning speed. In just a minute or two, everyone in the room had been taken over. The only living people left were me, Chloe, and Caden. Chloe, close the door. The controlled people turned to run out of the room. If they got out, the entire city of Crystal Falls would be doomed. Are you crazy? Caden's face changed dramatically when he heard me. If you want to die, don't drag me down with you. Open the door, or don't blame me for what happens next. Slap. I smacked him across the face. Who do you think you're talking to? Shut up. Be quiet. One more word and I'll castrate you. I snatched the gun from his hand and tossed it to Chloe, then turned to face the controlled people. The beetles wouldn't dare fly into my body directly, but the people they controlled could get close to me. And these people felt no pain, didn't fear bleeding, and could twist their bodies in unnatural ways. The fight was exhausting. Caden was at the door, trying to get the gun back from Chloe. After she pinned him down and gave him a good beating, he calmed down a bit. Now he was sitting on the side, looking disheveled, watching me fight 10 of them at once. Chloe, find me some rope. Chloe pointed the gun at Caden, signaling him to hand me the rope. I tied the men's hands together in a long line, then finally sat down on the floor panting. Corpse beetles are spiritual, but not very intelligent. With their hands tied together like a human centipede, they couldn't break free. They all tried to scatter in different directions, but in doing so, they just pulled each other down into a tangled heap. After resting for 2 minutes, I sat up and started pulling sticky rice from my pockets. This wasn't just any rice. It was at least 3 years old, and it was 100 family rice. It had to be collected door to door from ordinary families. Once rice from 100 households was gathered, it became imbued with the energy of human life and society. Then, the collected rice had to be sun-dried in a courtyard for 3 days during the peak of summer. There were specific rules for drying the rice, too. It had to be brought out at the hour of Mao 5, 7 a.m., and brought back in at the hour of Wu 11 a.m. 1 p.m. The sun rises at Mao, when yang energy begins to grow. By Wu, yang energy is at its peak. Any later, and the yang would start to turn to yin, making it unsuitable for drying the rice. This is why ancient executions were timed. A standard execution was at high noon, allowing the person to become a ghost. But for serious criminals, the execution was always at the 3rd quarter of the hour of Wu. Executed at this time, the person's yin energy would dissipate immediately, leaving them no chance to even become a ghost. Their soul would truly be scattered. I pulled the jewelry manager over and stuffed the sticky rice into his mouth, nose, eyes, and ears. By sealing their 7 orifices and their anus, the corpse beetles, fearing the yang energy, would be trapped. It would be like shooting fish in a barrel. After finishing his head, I flipped the manager over and pointed at Caden. You come here. Stuff this handful of rice into his rectum. Caden's handsome face was a mess of bruises. He shuffled over reluctantly. What's a rectum? It's his butthole, Chloe said with a grin, showing off a dazzling set of white teeth. Caden's neck stiffened, and he tilted his head back. A gentleman prefers death to dishonor. Just kill me now. I reached into my pocket, grabbed a larger handful of rice, and stared at Caden, saying word for word, you have 2 choices. Either you stuff this rice into their rectums, or I stuff all of this rice into your rectum. Pick one. Caden, who had always been so arrogant and domineering, showed a look of pure grievance for the first time. Looking like a wronged bride, he took the rice from my hand, muttering to himself, I'm tainted. Just let me die. Why do people have to live? I'd rather be dead. Once all the rice was stuffed, the people lay on the ground as if they had been paralyzed. I sighed, pulled out a very sharp dagger, and looked hopefully at Caden. Are you still a virgin? Caden snorted. That's a joke. The line of women who like me stretches from here to France. I've been getting love letters since kindergarten. How could I possibly still be a virgin? Useless piece of trash. I kicked him angrily, then turned the dagger on my own middle finger, reluctantly making a cut. My body is unique. I have a pure Yin constitution, and my blood is the legendary supreme Yin blood. In the Dru Dao Dao of Yin and Yang, when Yin reaches its extreme, it gives birth to Yang. My blood is rich with the life-giving energy of nascent Yang. This energy is powerful and majestic, capable of suppressing all evil in the world, and naturally, it can destroy these corpse beetles. The beetles fear anything with Yang energy. I was hoping to use Caden's virgin urine, but I didn't expect him to be so experienced. So frustrating. Ugh, I always have to cut my finger and bleed at critical moments. I should have brought that punk Mark with me. After reluctantly letting my blood, I handed the blood-stained dagger to Chloe. Sigh, a practitioner of our path should be compassionate. Even though they're already dead, I just can't bring myself to do it. Stab them right between the eyebrows. Remember, do it hard. Chloe also looked troubled, but she gritted her teeth, and with a swift move, she plunged the dagger into one man's forehead. As the blade entered his head, there was a crisp sound, like a watermelon hitting the ground. Black blood soon began to flow from the man's eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. Within minutes, his body rotted away into a skeleton, emitting a foul, fishy stench. I poked the skull with a stick, and sure enough, a palm-sized corpse beetle fell out. Caden screamed and jumped up from the ground. I rolled my eyes. Stop screaming, it's dead. It's just a shell now. Chloe bagged the shell. We'll take it back to Master for her alchemy. Chloe nodded and tossed Caden a cloth bag. You put the shells in the bag. Why me? Caden was on the verge of a breakdown. He stood with his hands on his hips, roaring like a frustrated dragon. Are you even treating me like a human being? First, you made me stuff rice up a dead man's ass, and now you want me to pick up corpse beetles. I'm a person too, you know. I get grossed out. Chloe tilted her head back, her expression flat. You can pick it up and put it in the bag, or I can pick it up and stuff it in your mouth. Your choice. Muttering curses, Caden snatched the bag, found 2 sticks by the cutting machine to use as chopsticks, and started picking up the beetles. After a few, he got angrier and angrier until he actually started to cry, and not just silently. Chloe and I looked at each other. The day we met Caden, Chloe had asked a friend about him. The friend had said he was ruthless, moody, and the feared prince of Crystal Falls. Ruthless, cold-blooded, this guy? Chloe poked me with her finger. Are we being a little too mean? A tall, imposing man squatting on the ground, sobbing while still managing to pick up corpse beetles with sticks. It was a pathetic sight. Maybe a little. All right, fine, let's not hit him anymore. Once all the bodies were dealt with, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Great. Once we bring these 10 beetles back to Master, she'll definitely be pleased. TCH. That's hilarious. After frantically washing his hands, Caden rolled his eyes at me. I was about to hit him, but he snorted again. Have you 2 even graduated from elementary school? There are clearly 9 bodies here, which means 9 beetles. Where did you get 10 from? Hearing this, the blood drained from my face. Chloe froze, her lips trembling as she counted. 1, 2, 3, 8, 9. That's impossible. 1, 2, 9. Holy crap, Luna, what do we do? Seeing our thunderstruck expressions, Caden clutched his stomach and burst out laughing. Yo idiots. My 5-year-old nephew can count better than that. I wanted to beat him up, but I was afraid he would start crying again, so I suppressed my anger and asked Chloe. Someone must have escaped during the chaos. Did you see who it was? Chloe forced a smile that was uglier than a grimace and pointed to the skeletons on the ground. They're all skeletons now. Not even God could tell them apart. Caden laughed triumphantly, hands on his hips. I know who it was. If you get on your knees and beg me, I'll tell you. This guy really didn't deserve a single second of sympathy. I gritted my teeth, forcing my voice to be calm. These beetles don't just appear for no reason. The people they control need fresh blood and flesh every day. And they're most attracted to those who are closely related to their original host. So, the person who escaped is most likely going after their family. We have to find him before he eats his entire family. Caden's hands slowly dropped from his hips. His face grew paler and paler as he listened, and at the end he let out a scream. Holy shit! Martin's dad is my family's driver, his mom is our housekeeper, and all his relatives work for my family and live at my house. Then what are you waiting for? Lead the way. The three of us threw open the doors and sprinted outside. Halfway there, I grabbed Chloe and ran back to get the jadites I had chosen. They were worth tens of millions. No, wait, they probably had beetle eggs inside. I couldn't let anyone else get their hands on them and cause more trouble. Caden drove like a maniac, weaving through traffic. As he drove, he still found time to chat. So what are those corpse beetles really? Who are you two? What are you doing here? Will my family be okay? Say something. My friends are dead. I'm really sad. You two are pretty good fighters. Interested in working for me. After hearing why Chloe and I were here, Caden's attitude finally changed. I was blind before and offended you. From now on, if you need anything from me, just ask. I'll do anything you need. Yeah, there is something. If you don't hit the brakes, we're going to crash. Dad, Mom, bro, where are you? It was a magnificent villa, looking like a castle at first glance. But the spacious interior was empty. Caden's shouts echoed through the house. The sky was getting dark. I glanced at my watch. It was almost 11 at night. The hour of Z, midnight, is when Yin energy is at its peak and the gates of the underworld open. I looked around, a bad feeling growing in my stomach. Caden, stop shouting. The Yin energy in your house is too strong, unnaturally so. Has anything strange been brought into the house recently? Caden was panicking. It took me a few shouts to get his attention. Strange things. He suddenly slapped his thigh, the color draining from his face. A week ago, they dug up a jade corpse from the mine. The body was encased in a layer of faint jade. It was incredible. My dad said it was priceless. He was worried about leaving it at the mine, so he moved it to the basement. There are two types of jade corpses. One is when a powerful ghost absorbs moonlight until its whole body turns to jade. That's an acquired jade corpse. The other is a congenital jade corpse, which requires a jade burial at the time of death. What is a jade burial? In ancient times, some masters of geomancy could locate the very center of a jade mine. There one could find a rare substance called jade marrow. The body would be placed deep within the mine, and the jade marrow would drip onto it. Over time, the marrow would cover the entire body, and the person would become a jade corpse. Legend says that a jade corpse can not only bring the dead back to life, but also grant eternal youth. The conditions for resurrection aren't too difficult. You just need to infuse the jade corpse with the fresh blood of 99 people. Once the corpse has absorbed the blood, it will come back to life. Where are your family staff? The resurrection requires 99 people. Your house doesn't have that many, right? While the beetle is out looking for more people, we still have time. My family's servants, security guards, and other miscellaneous staff, I think there are over 100 of them. Holy shit. This heartless capitalist. Then what are you standing there for? Take me to the basement. It seemed the emergence of the corpse beetles was all to resurrect this jade corpse. The beetles are formed from a corpse's Yin energy and obey its commands, recognizing it as their master. This jade corpse could not only create corpse beetles, but had even produced a beetle queen. Its power must be immense and extremely difficult to deal with. Caden, his face pale, led us to the elevator. Looking at the absurd number of buttons, I wanted to hit him again. Your house not only has 7 floors above ground, but also 2 basement levels? Caden nodded proudly. It's all right. My uncle hired a designer from overseas. The design is just so pretty average. This is not average. Caden put on a smug yet feigned humble expression. Oh, it only cost a few $100 million. It's barely decent. What part do you think is not average? Ever heard of the 9-story demon pagoda? And the 7-story Buddhist pagoda? 9 is a number of yang, of supreme strength and power. A 7-story pagoda, on the other hand, represents the 7 human emotions: joy, anger, sorrow, worry, sadness, fear, and shock. Are the people in your family very moody? The person on the 5th floor is always melancholic, crying over nothing. The person on the 2nd floor is hot-tempered and impulsive. The person on the 6th floor is as timid as a mouse, always paranoid that someone is out to get them. And the person on the top floor gets startled by the smallest things and has a temper like a firecracker. Oh, you must live on the top floor, right? Your house has been set up with a feng shui formation. Your whole family is being suppressed. And whenever the number 7 is involved, you're prone to disaster. Oh, and today happens to be the 7th. With every sentence I spoke, Caden's face grew a shade whiter. By the time I finished talking about the 7 floors, his face was ashen. His eyes filled with disbelief, shock, anger, confusion. TSK the rich. Hey, Chloe sighed softly. Have you two not noticed that we've been in this elevator for several minutes? Clang. Almost as soon as Chloe spoke, the elevator jolted and then slammed to the ground. The 3 of us fell in a heap, with Caden at the bottom. I knew this damn thing wouldn't let us get there so easily. The elevator was pitch black. Just as I was about to take out my phone for light, Caden yelped in embarrassment. That's enough, you two. This is not the time for jokes. Chloe and I were both confused. What jokes? Caden's voice trembled slightly. Weren't you two pinching my butt? Chloe immediately jumped up. Who are you accusing? Look at you. You think I'd be interested? In your dreams. Pinching your butt. Quiet. Both of you. I turned on my phone's flashlight. The light came on for a split second before the battery died. But that brief moment was enough for us to see the situation in the elevator. Caden was on the verge of tears. I wasn't seeing things, was I? Why did I just see 4 people in the elevator? Chloe swallowed hard. You weren't seeing things. I saw it too. A creepy silence fell over the elevator, so quiet you could hear everyone's breathing. Caden's breaths were heavy, like an old bull with emphysema. Chloe was doing better, but her breathing was still a bit ragged. My breathing was the lightest, long and soft. Other than that, there was nothing. For people, 3 sets of breaths. Who was the 4th? Get down, I yelled, jumping up and delivering a 360-degree kick in the air. As I kicked toward the back, I distinctly felt my foot connect with someone. After hitting them, I instantly came to my senses. I must have been exhausted from lack of sleep yesterday. The light was too dim to see, but I could just use my yin-yang eyes. Squinting, I finally saw the person lying on the elevator floor. It was the gopher who had been following Caden, the one I'd heard him call Martin. After falling, Martin struggled to get up. I jumped on him, pressing my knee into his back and twisting his arms behind him. With 2 sharp cracks, Martin dislocated his own arms and threw me off. He turned around, his fingernails long and black. His whole body was clearly riddled with corpse toxin. This didn't look like he was possessed by a beetle, it was more like he had become a beetle's puppet. It seemed the beetle had crawled out of his body. I shouted, my hands forming a seal, and quickly threw a 5 thunder talisman. With a crackle of electricity, the smell of burnt flesh filled the elevator. Once Martin was dead, the lights in the elevator came back on, and the doors opened. I looked up and saw that the top of the elevator had been opened. Martin must have gotten in through there. Caden wiped the sweat from his brow, and was the first to step out. I glanced at his rear, and saw a patch of white. Wait, a patch of white. There was a large hole in Caden's pants, revealing his fair skin, and on it was a black claw mark. Chloe looked at Caden with an indescribable expression. Do you not feel a breeze on your backside? I patted her shoulder. He's been poisoned by the corpse toxin. You could stab him in the ass with a knife, and he wouldn't feel it. Caden turned around, felt his butt, and then jumped 3 feet in the air. He started crying again, this time heartbroken. I'm about to die. Can't you at least let me go with some dignity? Damn it, cruel world. I hate you. I patted his shoulder, trying not to look at his back. Don't worry, I'm here. You're not going to die. But if you keep delaying, your family will. The smile that had just begun to form on Caden's face vanished. He wiped away his tears and left us with a rapidly jogging backside. I have to say, it was a very elastic backside. Chloe grimaced in disgust. I don't think he lives on the 7th floor. I think he lives on a different floor every day. That's why his personality is so volatile. The basement was built like a maze. We followed Caden through a series of twists and turns until we finally reached an iron door. My dad loves collecting antiques. This whole basement is his collection. This room is where he kept that jade corpse. The basement ceiling was filled with hidden light strips. Caden pointed at them. My dad designed this. The basement is lit 24/7. These lights can't be turned off. He said in case of a power outage or a thief, it would be too easy to break his treasures in the dark. Caden's dad was certainly a forward thinker. An unlit basement with corpse beetles and a jade corpse. The thought alone was enough to make my skin crawl. Caden opened the iron door with his fingerprint, but I felt something was wrong. Given a corpse beetle's intelligence, it would be impossible for it to operate a fingerprint lock, let alone close it again. This had to be the work of a person. Thinking about the design and layout of Caden's house, a thought struck me. Could this jade corpse also be connected to his uncle? Hiss. 2 sharp intakes of breath sounded beside me. I looked up into the room and saw a sight I would never forget. In the center of the room was a massive, carved Wangwali wood table. On the table lay a jade corpse, glowing a vibrant green. The green was so vivid and translucent it seemed to have a liquid light flowing over it. The color, the quality, the size, it was priceless. No wonder even a seasoned collector like Caden's dad had hidden it away like a precious treasure. Surrounding the jade corpse, Caden's family and staff lay on the floor. All of them were arranged in a large circle, their heads toward the corpse, their feet pointing out. Standing beside the corpse were 7 masked men holding daggers. They were intently watching their wristwatches. When they saw us enter, they all looked surprised. One of them even exclaimed, "Caden, you're not dead." It seemed the ritual hadn't started yet. They were waiting for the hour of Z to begin the bloodletting. I checked the time, it was 5 minutes to 11. We're running out of time. Take them out, quick. The leader of the men made a gesture, a professional hand signal used by mercenaries. The men quickly drew their guns and aimed at us. The room was empty except for the table and the jade corpse. We had nowhere to hide. Catch! I threw something and then tackled Chloe and Caden to the ground. Damn it. Don't shoot. Don't hit the jade corpse. The masked men were thrown into chaos. What I had thrown was a live corpse beetle. In the elevator, after the beetle crawled out of Martin's body, it had been too scared to attack us and had hidden in a corner. After I dealt with Martin, I had simply bagged it. This beetle was fiercely protective of its master. It didn't care about friend or foe. Any living person near the jade corpse would trigger its ferocity. Seeing that we were about to ruin the resurrection ceremony, one of the masked men, ignoring that the time wasn't right, slit the throat of the person lying next to him. The blood spurted 2 feet into the air before landing on the ground. As if it had a mind of its own, it began to flow toward the jade corpse. The blood seemed alive. It flowed to the edge of the wooden table, and then climbed up the leg until it reached the corpse's chest. As the blood was absorbed, the jade corpse visibly brightened, its green body emitting a beautiful, radiant light. The other 2 masked men, who hadn't been bitten by the beetle, also realized what was happening and began slitting the throats of the people at their feet. Caden's eyes were bloodshot. "Dad. Mom. Bro." He screamed and lunged forward. Chloe and I followed close behind. After a chaotic fight, we had taken down the masked men. But half of the jade corpse's body was already glowing. The blood continued to flow toward its heart. I scanned the room and couldn't even count how many streams of blood there were. "Luna, what do we do? The bleeding won't stop." Caden tore off a piece of his clothing and pressed it against one person's neck, but the blood, as if summoned by something, still flowed relentlessly toward the jade corpse. At this rate, these people would soon bleed to death. I pulled out a handful of sticky rice and pressed it onto a wound. The flow of blood slowed, but it still continued to move toward the corpse. "Use the sticky rice to stop the bleeding for now. Caden, call an ambulance. I'll figure something out." The rice could only delay things for a short while. Caden's villa was in a wealthy suburb with its own hospital, so doctors should be able to arrive quickly. But no matter how fast they couldn't be faster than the blood loss. I gritted my teeth, stood up, grabbed my peachwood sword, and stabbed at the jade corpse's chest. Bang! The corpse erupted in a brilliant light. A powerful flash sent me and my sword spinning through the air before I landed in a heap on the ground. The peachwood sword had snapped in half. 1,000-year-old jade corpse, its power was terrifying. Luna, are you okay? Chloe ran over to help me up. I held the two halves of my broken sword, on the verge of tears. My sword. This was 1,000-year-old, lightning-struck peachwood sword. I had gone through so much trouble to get this wood from Miles' family. The other half was with Mark. Now Mark still had his sword, but I had lost my beloved. I couldn't accept it. Damn it, Luna, can you stop wailing? I'll find a way to get you another one. Just stop the bleeding. Caden's shout barely managed to soothe my wounded heart. I picked up my broken sword and jogged over. All right, but you have to promise me you'll get me a bigger one. I rummaged through my pockets and pulled out a pile of talismans and incense ash. The talismans were mostly powerful lightning talismans, which were obviously out of the question. The incense ash, however, could work. Chloe and I had collected it from the incense burners of 1,000-year-old temples. It was filled with the power of faith and was very effective at dispelling evil. I pressed the ash onto a wound, and the blood flow slowed even more. This jade corpse was truly terrifying. Even sticky rice and ash from ancient temples couldn't completely stop the bleeding. Looking at the frantic Caden, I suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Caden, piss on it. Caden looked like he couldn't believe his ears. Piss on who? On the table. Piss a circle around the table. The corpse needs a lot of blood to resurrect. Urine is a defiling substance. If the blood gets contaminated with piss, the corpse will reject it, and the bleeding will stop. Caden's face darkened. On a dark and stormy night, I lost my virginity. It's fine. We're just trying to gross it out, not destroy it. It doesn't have to be virgin urine, it'll still work. Just hurry up. After Caden had finished urinating in a circle, the bleeding finally stopped. Chloe and I couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. Impressive. Such a big circle. You have a large capacity. I nodded repeatedly. And look how round it is. Police cars, ambulances, all sorts of vehicles arrived. Caden's family was lucky they weren't on the throat-slitting list. Once everyone was safe, I quickly called my master. This jade corpse was too evil. It was best to let master take it away. An ordinary person couldn't handle it. After arranging everything, Caden came over to me, his face dark. I glanced over and was a little disappointed to see he had changed his pants. My uncle got into a car accident last night. His car went into the sea. They haven't found him or the body. Here are his birth details and a photo. Can you tell me if he's really dead? I took the photo. He had a deep philtrum and long eyebrows that reached his temples. His birth chart showed all 5 elements were present, and his fortune was strong. With a chart like this, your uncle should have no problem living to be 90. Caden crushed the photo in his hand, his eyes gleaming. Good. Very good. He clapped me on the shoulder. Luna, do me a favor. You and Chloe can each pick 3 items from the basement. I tried to keep a straight face. What's the favor? Caden sneered. You'll find out soon enough. And